episode number 1 of Souls on Tap. I'm Julianne Thon, a certified introspective hypnotherapist and Jinshin practitioner.
And I'm Jennifer Cross, a certified hypnotherapist and practitioner of natural healing. We are thrilled to have you with us today and are excited to introduce you to our new podcast. We look forward to sharing the purpose of this show and outlining the goals we aim to achieve.
One of the most important aspects of Souls on Tap is to foster a community of like-minded individuals who are interested in personal growth, well-being, and are curious about healing that takes place outside of traditional Western medicine.
We will be offering a platform to healers to share their expertise and insights from throughout their careers, as well as for clients and individuals to share their remarkable stories from their personal healing journeys. Some of the topics that we'll be covering in the upcoming episodes include crystal healing, sound therapy, biofield tuning, Reiki energy healing, mediumship, channeling, quantum healing hypnosis, breath work, and so much more.
On today's show, we look forward to sharing a little of our backgrounds as healers, what we do as introspective hypnosis practitioners, the how and the why we got here, and some of the interesting stories we've experienced along the way. Jennifer, why don't you begin by sharing a little bit about your background and why you chose to go into hypnotherapy?
My journey is one of personal transformation, which began at university, where I began to realize I was extremely fascinated with psychology and decided to major in it. After graduating, I became very interested in alternative modalities of healing. And so I experienced those and learned all about those. And many of them I became licensed or certified in. And this journey led me to connect with a very vibrant community of non-allopathic healers. And this further expanded my understanding of holistic wellness. Eventually, after gaining experience, I felt compelled to incorporate hypnosis into my practice. So I went to university again and learned more traditional techniques of hypnosis. And I felt a need for a deeper approach eventually, and one that was more resonated with my style that I had developed. And so after searching around, I finally found introspective hypnosis, which eventually I learned. And this turned out to be a perfect fit for me. And today, I'm passionate about helping others tap into the transformative power of their subconscious minds through this approach.
It's a great story. Thanks for sharing that. So, beginning my little brief biography, I had a son back in 1995 whose name was Evan, and Evan was absolutely the biggest mentor and teacher that I have ever had in my lifetime. Evan came to us with special needs. So we realized at that point that I certainly was going to need to be a healer of some sort, whether it be through maternal means or just loving him in general. We went through several years of flying all over the United States to try to get a diagnosis for him. And it was a little bit scary because nobody could figure out what was wrong. Eventually, I was meditating one day and I was visited for by one of the first times that I'm aware of, one of my guides who said to me, this needs to no longer be about Evan and his diagnosis and trying to heal him. This needs to be about learning through him and the joy that he brings every day. Stay in the moment. Just make sure you are staying in the moment. So that set me on a particular trajectory that I understood that all healing that takes place has to start with love from inside first. So for 8 or 9 years, we did just that. Evan and I became a team, and we worked really hard to have lots of fun, bring lots of joy to our life. Yes, he worked hard in terms of therapies and trying to help him with his developmental delays, but all the time making sure that what we were doing, we were having fun. Um, it, it was probably a couple of years before Evan left us back in 2005 when Colorado was going through a big crisis in terms of families with children with disabilities. They were not getting any kind of funding, and that affected Evan and my family as well. So I knew that at this point, Evan and I had a new journey, and that was going to be trying to get laws changed with Colorado legislation. So we did just that. We were able to get some funding that wasn't there prior to that, and a couple of other bills that were signed off by the governor. And the very last bill that was signed, uh, we celebrated, and I think it was the following evening at 12 midnight, Evan passed away. So that again was an indication of the importance of healing through love and making sure that at all times you are connected to the moment. I knew that I had to keep going, and I knew that that's what Evan would want, but I didn't know exactly how. So I went back to school and I got my teaching certificate and ended up teaching and absolutely loved it. Did so for about 10 years. And then the pandemic hit. And then I realized we were going to jump into a whole different kind of healing. It was no longer about teaching the students as much as it was about nurturing the students. And again, that had to come from a place of love. So lots of support for the students, for the family, the community. I've since then retired from teaching, but what is really interesting is I have seen since the pandemic a community out there that is full of individuals that are a little lost, a little confused. They know something big is about to change with our society. They know that human beings are changing. They watch what's going on in our government, the division that's happening. People are not sure where to turn. So it was at that point that I began studying hypnotherapy, and I became certified in several different modalities. But the one that spoke to me the most was introspective hypnosis. And I am happy to say that this is where I am today. I discovered that this was a way that I could help individuals heal themselves, because that's where healing has to start. You cannot, even as a healer, help others until you yourself are healed.
Agreed.
So that's my story.
That's a good story.
So maybe we should talk a little bit about what is introspective hypnosis.
Absolutely. Introspective hypnosis is based on a technique that a man named Aurelio Mejia came up with. And he's quite experienced, let's just say that. And he combined a bunch of different techniques such as Ericksonian, past life technique, forgiveness technique, role change, and one of my personal favorites, spiritual assistance, which not only helps the client, but also helps the spirits around them have closure. And this method that he came up with is extremely flexible and it's extremely adaptable. It adapts to each client's needs, which is unique. It's not just based on a script and in a blanket solution. And in this method, the client is brought back to the basis, the point where their psychosomatic issue is occurring, the very point where it starts, whether it's in this life or a past life, and then it's resolved through there.
So just a little bit about Aurelio Mejia. He's a fascinating man. He's out of Colombia, and he began this method of introspective hypnosis and began taking on students not only around him in Colombia, but people all over the world. And there are a couple of individuals. Some of our viewers may be familiar with Alba Weinman. She studied from Aurelio, and Antonio Sangio, who was our teacher. He studied directly from Aurelio, and it has since just absolutely taken off. And although what we do is sort of a combination of several different types of hypnosis, Aurelio's concept of really and truly understanding the oversoul and how that is the point to begin in terms of our healing is really, really important, an important aspect of what we do.
Mhm. Yes, it combines spirituality with the dynamics of forgiveness, which is extremely powerful.
Right. And I get a lot of questions about QHHT, which is quantum healing hypnosis technique developed by Dolores Cannon.
Mhm.
And there are a lot of aspects of introspective hypnosis that have QHHT in it,
Yes.
namely having to do with past lives and that type of thing. But
Mhm.
we take the concept of what we do further than QHHT. QHHT is a wonderful modality of hypnotherapy. But although we combine introspective hypnosis with a little bit of QHHT, we are able to go to certain places, sometimes not just only a past life, but in the womb. And QHHT does a lot of that too, but I know they're not allowed to have sessions other than in person. They can't do it via
Remotely.
Zoom. And
Mhm.
the problem that I had with that is there are people all over the world that are hurting. And because
Yes.
we are allowed to do this via Zoom, I've been able to help people from many different countries and many different time zones, which is
Yes.
great.
Yes. Absolutely. And also, there is another difference that I find very helpful in my practice, and that is that I don't have to have a script.
Hmm.
I don't have to go down the list, if you will. I can jump to wherever I feel intuitively I need to go
Right.
with the client, and you really do connect on a whole other level while you're even before the session really, but while you're in there, all of a sudden you just start to connect and things just start to click, and so you don't have to be distracted almost by making sure I get this point and this point and this point. You can just go, oh, this is obviously going over here, so I'm just going to slide right on over with this guy or girl, and we're going to get it done. And I really, really like that aspect of it.
Some of the questions that I've gotten about what we do in introspective hypnosis is what kind of client benefits from what we do, and I have to say, uh, just about anybody,
Yeah.
which leads me to some of the misconceptions around hypnosis. I'd like to address some of those right now. Am I completely asleep during the session? Am I going to be aware of what's going on? And am I going to be made to do anything at all that I don't want to do? And the answer to that is no, you're not asleep. Most clients have a great memory of everything that went on during the session, unless they go to a somnambulistic state, which is the deepest state you can get in terms of hypnosis. Your moral structure or your constitution is pretty much set in stone.
Yes.
Anything that you don't believe in is not going to be happening during your session, which
No.
also leads me to another question, and that's if I am devout or devoted to my particular religion or the spiritual beliefs that I am attached to, does this affect it? And the answer is no, absolutely not. We work with the client. We meet them where they are always. We're not there to try to change them, change the way they think, change their belief system. We are there to help them understand what aspects of their physical body and their soul needs in order to heal.
Yes, your mind takes you exactly where you need to go
Mm-hmm.
to heal yourself, and that's what this is. It's we're just helping our clients heal themselves,
Mm-hmm.
guiding them along that journey,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that is for them. Yeah.
Right. So I would have to say that the majority of clients that come to me usually come to me because they feel depressed or they have a great deal of anxiety. And in many cases, they have seen a doctor and they can't receive a diagnosis. They don't understand where these feelings, these emotions are coming from. Other people have unexplained physical ailments that are undiagnosed and doctors can't seem to figure out why. Those are the things that we can get to the crux of. That's
Yeah.
why we're here to help our clients understand that this could be from a mandate that they spoke of 500 years ago in a past life. It could be because of something that happened to them, some sort of trauma that happened to them while they were in their mother's womb. It could be some sort of trauma they experienced as a child, either remembered or not remembered, not realized. Those are the individuals that typically, when they come to us, we uncover all kinds of things that have happened throughout past lives as well as this life
Yes.
that need to be addressed that were never dealt with. And
Absolutely.
we take those issues and we help the client to deal with them in their
Yes.
own way.
Yes. In fact, I just brought to mind a client that I had about a year ago, and she came to me and she had just all over pain. No doctor could diagnose her. They kept telling her that it was in her mind, but she knew it wasn't. And it was just getting worse and worse and worse, especially her headaches on this particular side of her head. I mean, it was just like unbearable. And she was a nurse and had to quit her job because she couldn't, not only could she not stand to do the job, physically stand up, but her headaches were getting so debilitating that she just couldn't work anymore. And so she came to me and we brought her back to a life. She just popped right in to a life where she was a man named Roger back in 1922 in Peru during a tsunami,
Mm.
and her body got ravaged. I mean, it was just torn apart, smashed up, destroyed. And one of the first things that happened to her was her head had major, major trauma. She smashed into a brick wall of a building, and her head just kind of came apart and took her through that whole thing. And then after the session, a lot, not all, but almost all of her body pains were gone, and her headache had gone away because she had a headache going into the session. And so that's an example of the deep, deep work that can be done with this beautiful technique of hypnosis.
I love to hear these stories because again, it gives me chills. It's a reminder of why we do what we do. There is a there is such a sense of joy
Mm,
when the client comes out of their session and they look
yes.
like a heavy burden and a huge heaviness has been lifted from their shoulders. It's a pretty amazing thing. I
Mm,
gosh, I've had so many interesting sessions. It's kind of hard to pick a couple out, but as some examples, I was dealing with somebody that really had the reason she came to me is because she didn't seem to be able to advocate for herself. And mostly it had to do with her inability to speak out, to talk authentically and sincerely and genuinely to people. And she couldn't figure out where that fear was coming from. Well, we went through a couple of sessions, but ultimately found out that back in the 1600s, she was like with the pilgrims, and she was actually burned at the stake for speaking out for a friend of hers that they had found to be a witch, or they had deemed her to be a witch. So, because she spoke out, they said, "Well, you must be a witch too." So, I've had other individuals who one of my first sessions that I had, this woman was dealing with a choking sensation, and she also had unexplained headaches, and no doctor could figure out what was causing them. She, during a session, was able to uncover two separate times that she had been raped as a child by some workers that were working on her ranch that she had suppressed. And we were able to bring those to the surface and have her actually go through those experiences herself and to apply forgiveness, not only of the individuals that did this to her, but to her of herself as well.
Mhm.
And I heard from her about a month later, and she told me that her headaches were completely gone, and she no longer felt this constricting feeling around her neck. That was pretty amazing.
It's so amazing, and it's so amazing how these things stay with us, life after life after life,
Mm-hmm.
until they're resolved, and they just pop up. They just pop up in so many different ways sometimes. And it's so beautiful, the all the different stories. And I can't help but I need to mention that one thing that I have had a lot of people come to me for, and it's not necessarily a healing like you're talking about, or like the one that I shared, but it's a different kind of healing, and it's more of a validation. And I've had lots of people come to me that have been having dreams or thoughts that, well, I think that I've been Egyptian. I think that I've been this. I think that I've gone here. I think that I know how to do this, but I can't quite figure it out. And
What does it all mean?
what does it all mean? And how does it relate in this life?
Right.
And for example, I had this guy who is in medical school, and he just kept having these thoughts that he was being confined somehow, and he didn't know what it was all about. So I hypnotized him, and he went back into a life. And it wasn't back, it was over to, because it was a parallel life that he was living on a parallel earth where he was also a medical doctor already. He was a little older, well, quite a bit older, about twice the age of what he is here in this lifetime. And he was in prison, and
Hmm.
he was in a Russian prison, and he was being held there. But he had the ability to be a time traveler. And so he's like, oh, don't worry, I'm only going to be in here for 8 more minutes, and then I'm going to pop right back out and go. And so he had all of these other very, we would consider them advanced abilities. And it was so intriguing, and but it answered his questions, is the point. He had these feelings, and they were validated. And lots of people now are the veil is a little thinner, and they're coming alive and waking up to all these
Absolutely.
different thoughts and feelings. And hypnosis can be a real, true way to verify and validate so many different aspects of these other thoughts and feelings that people are starting to have now.
Right. And for some individuals who claim that they cannot be hypnotized or that they can be hypnotized, but they cannot go to a past life, I'll give you an example of a young man that I had in his late 20s. He was having a lot of difficulties. It was a cultural thing. His parents had come from India. He was raised here in the United States. So he was constantly fighting the differences, the cultural differences, having to respect what the parents were insisting he live his life by versus the Americanization that was going on around him with his peers. Well, he said to me, I don't know that this is going to work, but I thought I would just try it. I don't think I can even be hypnotized, but I know there's no way I'm going to go into a past life because I really don't believe in that stuff. I said, okay, well, let's just try it and let's see where your soul takes us. So we went through, we got a lot of work done. Bless his heart. He worked really, really hard and worked through a lot of the issues that he was having with both his mother and father, really getting to the meat and the foundation of why he felt the way he did. We were able to do some role playing so he could see the perspective through his parents' eyes as instead of only through his. And just toward the end of the session, we were doing a body scan. And I asked him, was there anything that he noticed that was a little off about his body? Did something look strange? Did something feel strange? And he said, well, I have this darkness. It's underneath my left rib cage. I said, oh, okay, well, let's go there. And I want you to make that darkness, that shadow that you see, bigger and bigger and bigger. Make it so big that it practically fills the entire room. And he did. And the next thing you know, he popped right into a battlefield where he was a samurai soldier. And he was getting ready to be, well, actually, he was getting ready to be stabbed. And I asked him to look into the eyes of the warrior that was getting ready to stab him. And right as he got stabbed, he looked up and he said, it's my mother. It's my mother from another life. So then, of course, we were able to go from there to more healing. But
Yes.
that again was so fascinating. And there you have it, somebody who didn't think he could get hypnotized, much less ever go to a past life. So
Yes.
it has to do with if you will let it as an individual, if you will let your body heal itself, you'll be amazed at the places that you will go. Because the thing about our soul is it never forgets. Our
Mhm.
soul is infinite and it continues to exist no matter what. Our incarnations, as we pop in and out of different lives, there's always a veil that, well, certainly as human beings, there's a veil that comes down that keeps us or prohibits us from understanding that aspect because we have a lot of lessons and things we need to deal with and learn from
Yes.
and in this lifetime. So, but it is fascinating stuff, and I thank the universe on a daily basis that I'm here to do this work because, again, it's all about helping the individual to heal themselves.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding.
So, um, I think that for today, that kind of brings us to the end of podcast number one. We will be releasing a podcast once a week on Fridays.
Mhm.
And I'm really excited about so many of the guests that we've already done our episodes with and recorded. They're just not downloaded yet. The name of our channel is, of course, Souls on Tap. So you can find us on YouTube, and I will also be uploading as well on Spotify. So, on that note, I would like to thank everybody that has joined us and tuned in today. If you have any questions or comments about introspective hypnosis, please let us know down below in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. We look forward as a member of a huge tribe that is already out there that will be coming in one by one. We look forward to working with all of you together. What a wonderful and fortunate time that we have chosen to live here.
Absolutely. And also, I'd like to mention if there's any modality of healing that you're interested in and would like to find out more about, just let us know and we will make sure that it's on the show.
Yep, we certainly will. So thank you once again for joining us, and we'll see you soon on Souls on Tap.